gingerbread tree video. So today I'm going to show you how to make a gingerbread Christmas tree, which is fantastic to use as a table centre at Christmas time. It's wonderful for place settings. It can also be used as gifts. And of course, with the gingerbread recipe that we're going to use, this can be used to make gingerbread houses, gingerbread people, any type of gingerbread biscuit. If you don't like gingerbread, you could just as easily make one of these Christmas trees using your favourite chocolate biscuit recipe or a shortbread biscuit recipe. So lots of ideas there. So the first thing we're going to do is get our liquid mixture ready. So we're going to melt 75 grams of chopped butter. We've got 2/3 a cup of packed brown sugar, and we're going to pop in 2/3 a cup of golden syrup. And what we're going to do is mix that over a low heat on the stove top for about 10 minutes until it's all melted and evenly combined and we have quite a smooth mixture. It might not take 10 minutes, so be sure to watch. It's a very hot mixture, so it's something to do when the kids aren't anywhere near the kitchen. So I'm going to get started on that and then come back to prepare our dry ingredients. Melted on the stove, so it was over a low heat for about 10 minutes, stirring along the way to make sure it doesn't burn. Once that's done, we've poured it straight into a bowl here and it's been sitting for 20 minutes to cool down. The thing with this recipe is you do need quite a bit of time because it's quite a bit of resting time. So once we've put the dough together, it'll actually rest in the fridge for an hour. So make sure that you plan that time into your cooking. So we've got the mixture here, which has been sitting there for 20 minutes and cooling down. Now we're getting our dry ingredients together, and we've got in here 3 cups of plain flour, 2/3 of a cup of self-raising flour. We have half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. We have 2 teaspoons of ground ginger. You can put a bit more in if you like it quite gingery. And we've got 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So we're just sifting this through. Once that's done, we're going to lightly beat 2 eggs, and we're actually going to put that in with our liquid ingredients. There we go. And we'll just get a fork to mix that up. It's important that we've completely cooled down the liquid ingredients, because if they're too hot when we put the eggs in, the eggs will actually start cooking, and that's not what we want. So put that in there. We'll get our wooden spoon, so we just mix in the eggs, you can see in there, until they're just combined, and then we're going to mix in our dry ingredients. Now with the Christmas trees that we're going to put together, all you need to do is change the number of levels of stars that you put on there to change the type of tree that you're wanting to do. So if you wanted to do quite a tall Christmas tree, you put lots of the shapes, stack lots of the shapes up, or just a couple to make a smaller one. So that's mixed in. We're now going to add in our dry ingredients and mix them in. So it's a really easy and pretty false-proof, I say, touch wood, gingerbread recipe. So once you can see it's all starting to come together, then I'm going to mix in the rest of the ingredients and then we'll get ready to form the dough. Together there. Don't worry if you think it looks a bit dry, because what we're actually going to do is bring the dough together, knead it gently and just for a small time before we put it in the fridge, and it'll actually set for an hour, and you'll find in that time that it will gain moisture in the fridge. So we just sort of bundle a ball of dough up, knead it a little bit on a lightly floured surface. The thing to remember that every time you flour your surface, the dough will actually pick that flour up and it can dry it out. So don't worry if it's too crumbly. So we'll just wrap that. So you can probably split it into 2 or 3 parts. We'll wrap that in some cling wrap. and pop that in the fridge for an hour. So we'll do that with the rest of the ingredients. As I said, once it's in the fridge, it will actually gain some more moisture, and when you bring it out after an hour and start working it and rolling it, it will once again lose that sort of dry element. So I will keep going with the dough here, pop it in the fridge for an hour, and then we'll come back ready to roll it out and cut our shapes. Hello, so I've got my first batch of dough out of the fridge. That's been sitting in there for an hour. What I've done is broken off a bit, and I've just been working it between my hands. You can see the difference between the one that's been chilling for an hour. I've broken a bit off that, and just kneading it between my hands, it comes together really nicely as a dough. So don't worry if you think yours is too dry or too crumbly, because it will be fine. So I've got the oven warming up to 180 degrees Celsius. I've got 2 sheets of baking paper here. You could roll the dough out on a lightly dusted surface. What will happen, it will pick up the dust, which will colour the gingerbread, and it can dry it out. So we're going to roll it between 2 pieces of baking paper. And then what I have are our shapes. So what we're going to do is roll the mixture to about 2 mil thickness. Make sure that your shapes are quite even, that you don't have one half of it is quite thick, the other half is quite thin, and it is tempting to do that when you're getting to the end and the outer edges of your dough, to just cut the shape and think that'll be fine. What will happen is one edge will burn and the other one won't have cooked properly. So we have our shapes of stars here, and what we're going to do is cut out and then stack our shapes once they're biscuits, like that, which will make our tree. So really easy. Obviously we're not going to make that thickness of biscuit. So you can cut as many shapes as you want depending on the size of your tree. So for quite a tall tree, I would do 4 of each shapes. For a place centre, I'm going to do 2 of each shapes, and for some gifts, I'm going to do 3 of each shapes. So, whoops, I tumbled them there. Pop those there. I will start rolling my dough. Start cutting out the shapes. I'm going to put them in the oven for about 12 minutes, but check in on them as they cook, because depending on your oven they may cook quicker or slower. With this one, you don't want them too soft. If anything, you want to slightly overcook them than undercook them, because we are going to be stacking them up. So I will start rolling my dough, cutting my shapes, putting them in the oven, and then we'll come back once they've cooked. They've cooled on a baking rack, and now we've got them ready to assemble. A couple of things, because some of the stars are so small, I always find it better to put the smaller stars on the one tray, the larger stars on another tray, because they won't take as long, so you can actually shorten their cooking time. So now we're ready to assemble. So I've got a little board here. You could just use some baking paper. Once they're assembled, we're actually going to put these in some cellophane, because we're making these for gifts. And I've got my royal icing. So we've got 1 cup of icing sugar sifted. We've got the egg. We've got the white of 1 egg, and we have about 5 mils of lemon juice. We mix it up, let it sit for a while. It'll thicken up. Depending on the weather, if it's quite a humid day, you'll find it might take a bit longer, or you can pop it in the fridge to cool a bit. So I've just popped all my stars out here, which helps me work out what I need to assemble. As I said, you can choose how many you want to stack. I'm going to do 3 of each, so I'm going to just, and I've got a clean bench here, get 3 of each size. 3 of those. We need 3 of these, and then 3 of the little ones. There we go. So the first thing we're going to do is put a little bit of the icing sugar, and that will actually act as our glue to stick our first star to the bottom. And then we're just going to put a little bit on the bottom of each one and just rotate the star so that we start to form a tree. So we'll put the first size on, like that. Now it is very tempting to just quickly stack it all. What you'll find, you do need to let each level set, because otherwise the stars will start to slide. You'll have a bit of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and it won't look so good. So I'm going to finish stacking those, and then we'll come back to decorate it. There we have our gingerbread Christmas tree. What I do as I stack it, I do step back a bit and check that it's not starting to lean, or I haven't kept them centered and it's starting to favour one side or the other, and you can just sort of tweak those with the icing. Really simple, really great idea. As I said, you can make taller ones by just adding more duplicates of the stars to make it taller. So you might do 4 of each shape. You might make a smaller one for place settings at your Christmas day. You might do sort of 2. We're doing 3 of each here. Once that's completely set, we can then start to decorate. Either you can just sift some icing sugar over the top, and do a little bit of snow, or we can get some Smarties or M&Ms, just perhaps the brightly coloured ones, pop a little bit of icing sugar on, pop them on the end of the leaves like that, scattered over, and we have some nice sort of baubles on our Christmas tree. Really easy, really simple, really delicious, and great. The other thing is that you can make all the stars in advance, pop them in an airtight container, and then when you have time, stack them up. And as I said, we'll put some cellophane on it. So thank you for joining us for our gingerbread tree video. We hope you enjoy this for Christmas or any other time of the year. Please follow us on Instagram @thepartyhour, or watch our other videos on this channel. We wish you a safe and happy Christmas, and we'll see you next time.